part of the meeting. Jason not here.
He couldn't be here. I can tell you a little bit about building updates just from being out there today. They're working on the striping out at the parking lots right now and getting all those pieces in. So they're doing all the furniture. So they were putting together teachers' desks and caddies and getting those in place today. And so all those pieces are going in. The mulch is all in at the playgrounds and all the equipment is in. So right now they're working on getting the concrete prepared for the painting so that all that piece gets done out on the playgrounds. And we were very excited to see the work that are being done on all the murals in the building and all the hallways. So there's a lot of the final touch paintings going on throughout the entire building, as well as all the testing going on. We got to hear the fire alarms today, thanks to Mr. Blue.
That's just part of it.
Part of many.
I can tell you that the sprinkler system is effective and it will work. So.
So you
didn't flood the building, did you?
No.
Okay, that's good.
There's a lot of noise in there.
There's a lot of noise today, but there's a lot of exciting things happening and going on as we're getting prepared to get the occupancy and getting everything ready to go for August.
Okay, thank you. Any other public participation comments? If not, need a motion for approval of the treasury report.
Grimm?
Second. Householder. Any discussion or questions or comments about that?
I'm just going to say that with the budget versus actual on the general fund, we finished the year 1.3 million ahead, which is very good.
Yeah, very good.
So we are creating a balance to do some of the things that we know that we're going to need to do, and some of the, we don't know what's going to happen with the new building and how much that's going to cost us, so.
It's good to have a little cushion.
It's good to have a cushion.
Yeah, we'll be able to be in. Work on the curriculum, and
Curriculum, yeah.
you know that's important.
Okay, let's go to a vote.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Thank you, Jan.
Today we had another transportation meeting, so we're getting those routes finalized. We hope to have the bus routes finalized by the end of the week, which is looking really good, like we'll have that all done. August 1st is our goal to have packets finalized to go out to parents that will have all your first of the year lists, supplies, resources as far as paperwork, and should also have all of your bus information. So that should go out again the 1st of August, so you can look for that. We are on schedule and hopefully ready to go for August 9th, Saturday morning at 9:00 a.m. at the new elementary school for our dedication ceremony. We'll start outside the building with a small ceremony, and then we'll work our way into the gymnasium and have some program inside of the school, and then we'll do some building tours and let everyone see the great space and all the great work and hopefully some of the technology and things that the building will offer for all of our educational purposes. So that's pretty much what we're looking forward to for the month of August.
That'll be a big day. I think it's important to reiterate, and I know we've said it and we'll probably continue to say it, but the bus route thing, we are going to pick up kids in school or in town that haven't been picked up before because of the location of school, and we're going to really encourage participation in that, because even with the transportation improvements we've done, it's going to be imperative that students ride the bus to school instead of being picked up and dropped off by cars, because the bottleneck that will create.
And we appreciated everyone filling out the surveys in May. It was a huge help. And I'll just say, with those surveys, we are picking up 600 more children and transporting them. So we had to create a lot more bus stops. And so that's what we've been working on and doing, and we'll be happy to pick up those 600 kids. But that means a very different transportation bus routing system for our district. And thanks to Brian Clausen and his team and all the hard work they've been putting in the last month trying to make everything happen. So we really appreciate it.
Has that been finalized yet? I mean, like where the stops will be?
That's what we're going to have the end of the week. We're hoping, if everything goes well. We pretty much, I think we've got everything finalized today. We'll review the routes individually here the middle of the week. And then, like I said, August 1st, the routes will go out and everything will be announced to the parents and students where your bus stop will be.
We're trying to be as prepared as we can. I think it will be imperative for the community to help us and cooperate and to make that work. But I think it will be it'll work really well if everybody gets on board. Mm-hmm. Kind of a pun intended there.
And if for some reason something has changed, so in this August 1st packet, let's say that you filled out in May and you said that this was the place where my child's going to be picked up in the morning, this is a place where they're going to be dropped off, because we accounted for even if there's a babysitter involved, maybe on Tuesday and Thursday, there's a different house that my child goes to. If something has changed in the letter, it tells you how to call into the district office and how to get that changed so that we can have everything in place and correct the first day of school. We're lucky that we don't start until September, so we do have some time to make adjustments, and that's why we want to get those letters back out in August so you can remember what you told us. And if we need to make some adjustments, we have a whole month to make those adjustments. So we'll get out to you what you said was your stop and how you wanted your child to be picked up and dropped off, and if something has changed since May, we still have time to make that adjustment for you.
Obviously, there'll be a little bit of tweaking as we implement that, but we're hoping that it works really well. All right. Committee reports, finance.
In the finance meeting, we talked about the land appraisals that we got back. Hardin Central and SP were both appraised as being vacant lots. And Hardin Central was valued at $600,000, and SP was valued at $58,000 as empty lots. And East Crest and Westview were valued with the buildings left intact on them, and East Crest was valued at $330,000, and Westview was valued at $372,000. So those are the appraisal numbers that we got, not the asking numbers, I guess.
Right,
maybe,
fair market.
Yeah.
We had to do step one.
Those are the appraisal numbers.
From a professional appraiser.
Yeah, from a
right.
professional appraiser. We had come in, we paid an appraiser to come and do the work for us. So. Then we reviewed the facility rates, what the tiers are. If you're a student school group, you know, it's there, and you're doing stuff for kids, it's nothing. But if you're a for hire place, would be what we consider Category 5, then there's a rate structure for use of the buildings and that kind of thing. And so we were going through that. We talked about preschool fees and how Head Start, what they do, and what Simon Kenton does, and those kind of things. And that Kenton City Schools is going to serve 40 students with 2 teachers and 20 students with another teacher that is
Itinerant.
Itinerant, yes, thank you very much. Itinerant. So that means that she will go out and about and won't be in the building, but we'll have 2 teachers in the building for preschool. So those fees are worked on and are being set. The elementary fees for bring your own device, we talked about waiving the fees. So if you did bring your own device to school, then all fees would be waived for that. So and then there would be a fee scale for 9 through 12, but for that 3rd through 8th grade, we could offer that as a bonus, try to help with that. Let's see, we talked about some handbook programs for a program called Upslope, which would be for employee, and then we could do for student. And these programs, what they do is they would help us write our manual and set what our criteria are for disciplinary actions, so that we can try to coordinate and put together, when something happens, a document to follow so that they can score it, and then they can figure out, okay, so for this it's expulsion, for this it's detention, however those things work, but we will be more consistent than in how the discipline is metered out. And so that was one of the things that Jennifer thought would be a benefit to the administration and would just help us in an overall policy standpoint and would make us more like, I guess, a big business. So just something to look at. So those were some numbers we're kicking around trying to figure out if that's something we can do. For both of those programs together, it would approximately be about $35,000 to fund it completely, both the handbook and then the training that would go along with it. So something to do. Map assessments, that is part of the curriculum part for the DLT, and they have decided what it is that they want to do and how we're going to move forward. And so we were committed to that, and that's going to end up being just over $31,000 for that program to be able to do those assessments and help us guide the kids so that we can target our instruction and help the kids move along. It was a busy meeting, as you can tell. And then we needed to purchase band instruments for the elementary, and so that those monies they're looked at as LFI monies, and so that's going to be just a little over $11,000 for the band instruments. It's actually $11,095.80, but a little over $11,000 for that, and that money then will be for the band instruments in the new elementary school. And we also needed to get the remaining bookshelves, another $1,600 for the extended learning areas in there so that they also are more useful. So that was it. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Any questions for the Finance Committee?
No, but we knew there'd be other costs along with that new building. So.
Yeah. So that's what we did, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Facilities.
Ross, you kick it off. Other than building a new building and
I
being
will
out there.
say, right now, that's been the main crux of our facilities meetings is the new building, so.
Have you talked to Doug about the light projects?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either. I keep seeing him out there, and there's plenty of conversations about the new building, but we don't go to the old building. I did drive that new road today, the Morningside Edition, and they have all the drainage in, all the bases in, so they're getting ready to backfill a little bit more on the tiles and stuff and start putting base in for the road. So they're still on projected target to pave in August, so it will be ready probably.
And they said that the stone was almost complete on the access way, the multi-purpose path. There was one other thing that they had to do, but they anticipated that would be done by Wednesday in today's follow-up
I
meeting.
drove it today too. It looks real good.
Okay, so Marv said that would be done by Wednesday, so that would be ready to pave as well.
I drove it slowly.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Slowly.
did you
Did you
drive
drive it
slowly?
slowly? That's all I care about.
That's a first.
I've been duly warned.
All right. Anything else for facilities, questions or anything? Extracurricular?
I don't have anything right now. I think we probably will sit down with the new athletic director here in August.
Yeah.
I know he's been going through the budgets and things and see what he's got. He'll probably have some suggestions and things he'll want to do. So we probably should schedule a meeting with him here in August and see what his ideas are. Go from there.
Okay.
That's about all I have right now.
Career Center?
Not really a whole lot since the last meeting. I was looking over the agenda, and then I see that we're already starting to schedule new staffing services and things of that nature, just like we are here. And it seems like we just ended school, and now we're gearing up for next year already. I mean, bang, school will be here.
July's about over.
Yeah. We'll be starting a little sooner down there than we are in Kenton this year, but
Oh, yeah, right.
we'll all catch up.
Yep. Policy Committee.
We did not meet.
Okay. No old business, on new business. Start reading. Approve the following volunteers for the 2014-15 school year contingent upon their paperwork and background checks. Bradley Potts and Dre Deering for high school football and Cody Barker for high school golf. Motion, please.
Householder.
Second.
Brim?
Discussion? Vote?
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Approve the following salary schedule adjustment for 2014-15 school year. Barry Bradford from Masters plus 15, and Lauren Clark from Bachelor's to Bachelor's 150, which is a correction from the June 16th meeting. Motion to accept.
McCullough?
Second.
Blue?
Discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. Approve the following substitutes contingent on their paperwork. We have Philip Jennings, bus driver, Tia Reffner, secretary and educational assistant, Lisa Thompson, educational assistant, Martha Osborne, substitute teacher, Chelsea Scott, teacher, educational assistant and secretary, Caitlin Poland as teacher, Carly Stump as educational assistant, and Melanie Kindle as a teacher. These are all substitutes. Need a motion to accept.
Householder.
Second.
Brim?
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Approve the following employee supplemental contracts for 2014-15 school year, contingent upon the required paperwork. Jerry Reed is ticket manager, $23.51. Sherry Smith, freshman fall cheerleader, $861. Courtney Hollister, high school head fall cheerleading, $1,324. Sherry Smith, high school head winter cheerleading, $2,086. Courtney Hollister, freshman winter cheerleading at $1,026. Tim Davis, high school band director and middle school assistant, that's $69.20. Tim Davis for pep band at $1,026. Travis Wisman, high school band assistant, middle school band, that's $3,973. Tyler DeQuino, top 20 and assistant musical, $5,099. Robin Hughes, high school quiz bowl, $1,788. And Deb Bartlett, high school yearbook at $1,954. Motion to accept, please.
McCullough?
Second.
Blue?
Any discussion?
Just a comment. There's one on here that I don't feel I can vote for, and I don't want to pretend like I'm penalizing the other one. So my vote no will be against Tim Davis's ban.
Okay. Any other comments? Questions? Vote, please.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
No.
Approve the following non-supplemental supplemental contracts, non-employee supplemental contracts for 2014-15 school year contingent upon required paperwork. We have Ashley Worthington as high school major ed advisor, $1,556. Crystal Strom, high school flag corps advisor, $1,821. John Hines, high school musical and assistant, top 20 for $2,815. Matt McCullough, fall weight trainer at $1,026. And Keith Kissling is high school girls tennis coach, $2,815.
Blue?
Blue moves. Second, please.
Brim?
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Approve the written resignation of Zach Turner as assistant freshman football coach for next year. Motion?
Brim? Householder, second.
Or discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Approve the following employee supplemental contract for the 2014-15 school year, contingent upon paperwork with Zach Turner, high school assistant football coach at $3,543. Motion?
Brim?
Second?
Householder.
Discussion?
There was just so you know, there was an error in how we did his supplemental when we did them. We had, back in January, meant to do him as an assistant, and we put him on as the freshman assistant, so we need to just change him to assistant coach,
Just a redo.
a redo. That's why, that's the way it is.
Vote, please.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. Approve the Kenton Elementary School Student Handbook for the 2014-15 school year. Motion to accept.
Blue.
McCollum?
Call a second. Any discussion?
If you looked at the handbook, there were some yellow things that were highlighted that they weren't able to fill in yet, and that was just times that were based on, they didn't know if they were starting at 8 or 8:30, based on transportation and bus routes, but those are just minor, and now it looks like it'll be in the middle. But that's the only thing that they're missing. If you had a question on what was highlighted, I asked Andy just to put it in yellow, and it was just those times.
Okay, vote please.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Approve the following substitute rates for the 2014-15 school year for substitute teachers, 1 to 10 days at $80 per full day, 11 to 30 days at $120 per full day, and 31 to 60 days at $140 per full day. Education assistant is $7.95 an hour. Custodian 2 and cafeteria 2 are $8.60 per hour. Bus driver is $13 per hour. Cook and cafeteria 1 are $7.95 per hour, and the secretary is $7.95 per hour. Mechanic is $8.85 per hour. Bus extra trip rate is $13 per hour, and administrative assistant is $10.90 per hour. Motion to accept.
Brim?
Householder.
Second. Any discussion?
Just in finance, a few months ago, we had done a comparison of all neighboring districts to make sure that we were competitive, and that's the reason that we had made some adjustments to these. So we know that we're competitive with these rates. That's why some of the rates had changed.
Okay. Particularly, I guess, was the bus driver in
Bus
particular
was one.
raised
Bus was the big one.
That's-
to get,
Yeah, the bus driver
substitutes.
was,
All right.
Teachers the same as they were, or did they change a little?
teachers were the same.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's pretty competitive. I mean, as far as the county. Now, if you leave Hardin County,
Well, yeah.
there are some neighboring schools that the challenge that we're having with teachers are there are neighboring districts that are higher, so that if a job would open, we lose a lot of subs in the morning, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because there are some close schools that are out of the county that are higher. So we may want to look at that in the upcoming years.
Okay. Vote, please.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Approve the following fees for the Kenton High School for the 2014-15 school year. You have ACC Physical Science, $10, CP Biology and regular biology, and CP Chemistry and Advanced Chemistry is $15, Anatomy is $20, Art 1 and 2 are $20, Art 3 and 4 are $30, Child Development is $5. Freshman Choir is $20, Anatomy and Physiology are $20, Band is $40, Chorale is $20, Phys Ed Locker Rental is $1, Earth Science is $5, Physical Science is $10, Physics is $10, and Spanish 1, 2, and 3 are $20. Motion to accept.
Householder.
Second.
McCollum?
Discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Approve the fee of $50 for the Kent Middle School for 2014-15 school year. Motion to accept.
McCollum?
Second.
Householder.
Discussion?
As Mr. Householder explained, we are looking at a possibility of a bring your own device system where if the student does choose to bring a device to school, that the fee would be completely waived. And so we're working on the details of that right now through our technology committee. And so should we choose to go that route, which is what we're leaning to do, that information would hopefully go out in that August packet on how that would work and the structure. And we've had some discussions just here the last week with some core teachers about how that would look and what that would how all that the process would be. So, and we do have a breakdown. I know that the high school breaks it down by class, but the middle school also has a breakdown of exactly what the $50 is for. The
And
cost.
just to clarify, when we say device, we're talking about a personal computing device that fits the requirements for what the
Correct.
school is going to
Because
use.
The 7th and
one-to-one
8th
part of
grade
it.
right now is 1-to-1. So the school provides every child with a device, but we're trying to also give an option that the families could bring their own device, because in some cases they might bring a better device. And the other case that we've discussed in the technology committee would be that there are also insurance and tech fees associated with the one-to-one device that the school provides. So basically like an insurance fee that parents have to pay and things like that, which in the long run, parents may just want to provide their own device versus paying those additional costs. So in this scenario, they wouldn't have to pay those insurance costs or those fees because many children have their own device anyway. Did I say that right, Dave?
Yes,
They're on both
and so,
committees.
right, and so in the best thing there is not only do they avoid that insurance fee, then we also are incentivizing them because we'll waive their normal school fee. It would be this $50 fee. So it would be it's a double hit for them to take off that if they provide the child with their own device with a computer to send to school with them, then
Gives people options, and especially if they already have
theirs.
something that's
Exactly.
going to work, they can use it. So that's
Exactly.
gives them options. All right, vote please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Approve the following fees for the Kenton Elementary School for 2014-15 school year. Kindergarten to grade 3 is $25, and grades 4 through 6 are $50. Motion to accept.
Brim.
Second.
Blue.
Discussion?
And the fee slightly changed, just so that you know, based on discussions this week with the Hardin County design team. And so the one-to-one device and bringing it, they were only comfortable with 4 through 6.
Okay.
They weren't ready to take on 3rd grade this year. And so that's why the fee structure changed based on the design team.
Okay.
And so we went 4 through 6 for the $50 with the hope that those grade levels could also be offered the same incentive of bring your own device and be able to waive the school fee. Now, 6th grade will be 1-to-1, depending on how financing and if we're able to secure a grant. 5th grade would be the next grade level to receive the one-to-one device from the
Right.
school.
Any other questions? Vote please.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. We're following lunch prices for the 2014-15 school year. And even though we called it lunch price, breakfast is a quarter. Milk's 40 cents. Grades kindergarten through 6 are $2.30. Grades 7 through 12, $2.60, and adults are $2.75. Motion to accept.
McCollum.
Householder will second.
Discussion? Vote please.
I just wanted to say that we did have to make this slight switch because now 6th grade is down
In
with the,
In
and
a
so,
different building, yeah.
yeah, so theirs is a lower price this year.
Okay. Yeah, good. Go ahead.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Approve the contract between North Central Ohio ESC and Kenton City Schools for fiscal year 15 services for audiology at a rate of $77 per hour. Motion?
Brim.
Blue second. Discussion? Vote please.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Approve the rate correction of the contract between North Central Ohio ESC and Kenton City Schools for fiscal year 15 services for the hearing impaired at a rate of $69 per hour. This is a correction from the June 16th, 2014 board meeting. Motion, please.
Householder.
Second.
McCollum.
Any explanation, or just was a mistake that,
I think what had happened was we did the rate all at 77. We did audiology and hearing impaired.
Okay,
They were actually
so
two
you're
different
separate.
rates when we got the other contract, so we had to separate them out.
okay,
We're saving money.
We're saving money, so we'll do it.
vote please.
Mr. McCullough,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Blue,
Yes,
Mr. Brim,
Yes.
Mr. Householder.
Yes.
Approve the facility rental rates as listed in Appendix A. Motion to accept.
Blue.
Blue, second.
Brim?
Discussion? Any-
I just want to thank the group that put this together, because this has been an ongoing thing for as long as I can remember. And it's just always seemed to get put on the back shelf, and now we're finally moving forward with it, so we appreciate it.
We keep ticking them off.
Yeah.
Keep ticking them
Well,
off.
and maybe we should just announce that the athletic building is probably going to be the biggest change. So
Yes.
that Mike Letty, our athletic director, is actually building a calendar, and he's working with groups to tell them that they're actually going to fill out a facility rental form by season. So if you basically think of it by 9 weeks, that athletic groups will have to actually fill out a facility rental form to use the athletic building so that he can monitor who's in the athletic building, when they're using it, and then they'll determine if there's a fee structure or not. Doesn't mean you're going to be charged, it just helps him with scheduling, because our real goal is to make sure that all of our sports have access to our facilities when they need it, and it's just a matter of management so he can oversee when people are in the building and when they use it. So just expect that if you've used the building in the past and have just been able to go in and do things, Mike is going to ask you to fill out a form, and just understand that that's coming from the policy committee, that we need to document that, and that's why Mike is asking you to fill out those forms. And so we just need you to do that so that he can keep a calendar and keep account of who's in the building, and it helps him just learn and to get all the groups scheduled that need and want to use the building, because it is a community building, and we want it for our kids and we want it for the community.
It also establishes rates for the new building, and so that opportunity is there also for the community. I think the rates are a little higher because it is new and
Air
it has,
conditioned.
yeah, the full heating and air conditioning.
And there's 2 gyms
Component
there
to
as
it.
well, so Mike's gonna have to, schedule those and to work through those as he's doing things, so.
Okay, very good. Vote please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Approve the following sliding fee schedule for preschool students. $100 is above 200% of the federal poverty rate guidelines, $50 for 100 to 200% of those guidelines, and $0 for below 100% of the federal poverty guidelines. Motion to accept.
Householder.
Second,
McCollum?
discussion?
This was just based on the grant, so as a requirement of the grant, we had to set these guidelines.
And the grant is providing for the second teacher.
And serve more kids, which is what we want to do.
So now we're up to 60.
Correct.
Okay, vote please.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. Approve the proposal from Upslope Solutions LLC for employee discipline program for an amount not to exceed $20,000. Motion to accept.
Brim?
Second.
McCollum?
Blue, me beat you by a
Okay.
whisker. Discussion.
This is for stage 1. I actually don't think it will exceed $18,000, but we just want to make sure that the PO covers the expense. This is for the employee side of what we're going to do with our overall plan. So what this will do is establish basically employee expectations and employee handbooks. So this is what the district expectations are, and it will also help us establish that rubric. We won't have these problems, but should something come up or there need to be one of the policies be violated, how do we deal with that? What are the consequences? How does all that work? And so it helps the district have consistency should we encounter issues or problems, and it helps us become a stronger team. I mean, it actually sets, these are the expectations. It just makes things clearer for everyone. These are the expectations. This is what a district employee looks like in the Kenton City Schools. This is what the Board of Education expects from an employee in the Kenton City Schools, which we've never had it written down in a format for everyone. It includes me, it includes the principals, it includes everyone. These are our expectations. So part of it is training on just creating that handbook. So it'll be a team of administrators and working with the professionals from Upslope in actually developing that handbook. And then part of it will be training in just working with staff, working in establishing that climate for consistency. So how to build trust, how to implement those policies, how to create that climate of consistency, and to get that expectation, to get that level of performance, I guess, and then deal with situations that should arise. So there's 2 steps. It's actually 4 days total.
But the you know how to roll part of it, and the consistency is the big key.
Because we're growing.
Yeah.
I think it should help with, the communication, understanding of the staff also, and transparency of how things, so that the consistency is important, and the transparency of how.
And we want our
What's expected.
administrators to treat everyone fairly equally. I mean, we want that standard. And so it'll help administrators. It'll make things easier across the board. So that we don't think it will hit that number, but I had Linda make it a little higher just because I've not used it. I don't know what to expect, so, for this part. And then they'll do the same thing on a student side, which we're still working through if we choose to go that route.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Have a vote, please.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Approve the MAP assessment, Schedule A for 2014-15 school year from Northwest Evaluation Association in the amount of $23,232.50. Motion to accept.
Householder?
Second?
McCollum.
Discussion?
We were able to negotiate a much lower price and still serve everything that we wanted, serve all the students we still wanted to serve. So that's why that price is much lower than the 31.2
That I had talked
that
about
we
in the
started
plan.
with last week. So when we were gone last week with the Hardin County design team, we got a much more lower quote, I guess, a much better
Favorable
quote.
number.
And this also replaces another program that we were using.
Right, we used Study Island assessments last year, and we will not be using those. So there's some give and take.
Yep.
But this was what the DLT picked as an assessment that best aligns with what we're using in Ohio as our assessments.
And this will affect which grades?
This will be 3 through 8.
3 through 8. Any more discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Approve the transfer of the balances of the principal building fund accounts for Northwood, SB, East Crest, Westview, and Hardin Central, including the Hardin Central 5th grade incentive fund, and the old Westview general principal account, and it has the number,
Yeah.
to the principal fund for the new Kenton Elementary School. Motion to accept.
Brim?
Second.
McCollum.
Just housekeeping.
Yes.
The obvious thing,
Yes.
we're consolidating the building, so we're discounting
Everything
the
into
one.
consolidating these funds.
I'm not allowed to transfer any money unless I get board approval,
All
so.
There you go. Motion to accept. Oh, no, we had that. Vote,
We had
please.
that. Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
And Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Approve the transfer of funds in the Bravo and the SADD accounts into the high school student council fund. Motion to accept.
McCollum.
Second.
Householder?
This was a request from Tracy Orions, who's the advisor, I think, of at least 2 of these. They basically do the same function, so they decided that they didn't really need all the different groups and that they would run it through one fund.
All right. Vote, please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Approve the transfer of the funds in the class of 2013 and 2014 and the funds in the FFA and the work study accounts into the high school principal account. Motion to accept?
Brim?
Second?
Householder. Okay, what's this one?
Now, the class of 2013 and 14 is supposed to be used for the tree project that is happening out at the high school. And Mr. Abbott thought it would be easier if I moved the funds into his account to do that. The FFA account actually only has $10 in it, and it hasn't been used for I don't know how many years.
It's probably carryover from when they were there.
From a
Kenton
yeah.
had the FFA instead of High Point.
Right, so that's been sitting there for a long time, and I'm not sure how old the work study, because that's prior to me as well.
Okay.
So we just
A
thought,
little more.
move those, close those accounts out.
Just housekeeping.
Yes, housekeeping.
Okay.
Vote, please.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. Any other new business to bring before the board that's not here on the agenda? Next regular Board of Education meeting will be held on August 18th, 2014 at 7 p.m. here in the board office. Meeting adjourned.